So people have been asking me, they always ask, but especially since that video, link at the top of the screen, about the state of poker in Las Vegas. When I say these are the tightest, most difficult games in the country, and they are, why do I play here? So I'm going to make this video, and then in the future when someone asks in the comments, which is inevitable, I can just copy and paste the link to this video instead of typing everything out. So I came up with 7 great reasons. I always say it's everything except the poker. Every other aspect of my life except the poker, Vegas wins compared to every other city. So I'm gonna go through them, 1 through 7. Number 1 is the room rates. It's inexpensive to live out here. I've done it in other cities. I've done it in the WinStar area, Baltimore, St. Louis, Atlantic City. I've done it in a lot of places. Vegas wins. The rooms in the casino hotels, I think the lowest I ever paid was like $8 a night at Rio in the past couple of years. And when I can't get rooms on the Strip, when it's expensive, when it's weekends, when it's holidays, it's a great city for Airbnbs. Not every city is great for Airbnbs. Some are just like very desolate. There's not many houses at all in the area, and some are just like too spread out, or like the closest city that has Airbnb possibilities is very far. WinStar is one of them. Denton is like 40 miles from WinStar. It's a college town. University of North Texas, Mean Green, is in Denton, and I've stayed in an Airbnb in Denton while playing WinStar. It's a 40-mile drive each way. So some cities just aren't good for it. Some casinos aren't good for it. So Vegas is very good for it. A lot of options on the Strip. And when I can't get a room on the Strip, I use Airbnb and I move back and forth. And I think last year, I think my best month was April last year. I was in a casino hotel room 21 of the 30 nights, and the total in room rates I paid was like $450. So Vegas wins in that regard. Reason number 2 is no state income tax. It's not a huge amount of money. I mean, it's some amount of money. You're still paying federally, but you're not paying state income tax on the poker, on your poker winnings in the state of Nevada. Besides the money, it's also just less of a headache when you're doing your taxes. Like, it's not that you need to like go through the same amount of paperwork and it's just moot because you're in Nevada. You just like say like, this income came from Nevada, and that's the end of it. So it's a little bit of an easier task when you're doing your taxes, and it does contribute to your bottom line, whether you make another $2,000 in poker or whether you save $2,000 in something like state income tax. Your bottom line doesn't understand the difference, doesn't care what the difference is. That's $2,000 more you have at the end of the year. So Nevada is one of the few states that has no state income tax. Number 3, you can change rooms. Changing rooms isn't so common in like other parts of the world, or it's not other parts of the country, or it's not so easy, even if it exists. Council Bluffs, it's not a thing. The next closest room is, there are some I've never been to in like central or the corners of Iowa. Kansas City is like a 3-hour drive. If you're in WinStar, I don't know, Riverwind, Oklahoma, which I've never been, but I've heard of it, that's the next closest. That's several hours, I don't know, at least 2 hours, I don't know. When I was playing in Milwaukee, the next closest was, I think, Horseshoe Hammond. Not very close, it's like another 2 hours. Atlantic City has a few options. Harris and Borgata, very close, you can walk. Northern Maryland has the Horseshoe Baltimore Maryland Live. It's a 10-mile drive, just like all freeway, there's almost no lights, that's not bad. Besides Harris and Borgata and Atlantic City, you're not walking between any others that I know of. Like California has a lot all over the place. But I mean, you're not walking from one to the next. So like, I could be playing in Bally's and I could walk to Aria, and I could walk to Bellagio, and I could walk to Caesars, and I could walk to Venetian, and I could walk to Wynn. Like, I could walk to all of those, and it doesn't take very long, and they're not very far. So if you want to change it up for any reason, any superstitious reason you might like, you're just not in a good game, you just want to be somewhere new, be somewhere different, that is possible out here. It's not possible in other cities. Number 4, when you do bounce rooms, it's enjoyable. So in the places that you can bounce rooms, like Northern Maryland, you're playing at the Horseshoe Baltimore, it's getting a little stale, you want to try Maryland Live. Like, you drive, you're just like walking to the garage by yourself, then you're in your car and you drive 10 miles and you're at Maryland Live, and like, the commute isn't all that enjoyable, and it could be kind of boring. And in October 2020, it was tough. It was tough finding a good game. There were a lot of days in October 2020. I moved 3 times. I was in both poker rooms twice. I would like start at Maryland Live, wasn't that great. I would go to the Horseshoe Baltimore. Horseshoe Baltimore wasn't that great. I would go back to Maryland Live, only other option. Maryland Live, change tables again, not that great. I would go back to the Horseshoe Baltimore. I was in both casinos twice on the same day, many times in October 2020, and it's a little draining because you're just like driving back and forth on the interstate. The walk from MGM to Bellagio is like so much fun. There are a few different ways you could go. I usually cross the street right away, go into New York, New York, walk through New York, New York, walk through the restaurant area, cross the street near T-Mobile, then you're in Park MGM. Love that hallway with the fuzzy green people and the benches. Walk through Park MGM, you're in Aria, check out the game in Aria, maybe give it a chance, maybe not, maybe walk by, walk through the back way to Vidara. Vidara is a very nice hotel. You're in the lobby of Vidara, and now that you don't have to go outside to get from Vidara to Bellagio, you're in this enclosed, climate-controlled like tunnel, and you're in Bellagio. It's just like an enjoyable walk. You walk through the lobby of Bellagio, you walk under those Dale Chihuly things hanging off the ceiling in the lobby, and then you go through the casino floor. You're in poker. Like, it's an enjoyable time. There are like arcade games, and you're outside, and there's a lot of people, and there's like colors and excitement, and like the street performers can be pretty annoying, or maybe not. The homeless people can be very annoying, or maybe not. Stop into CVS, get Goldfish, get an Arnold Palmer. Like, it's an enjoyable bounce from one poker room to the next. In a lot of cities, there isn't that at all. There's just one room, and even if there are 2, it's like not that fun, and it's kind of draining when you're doing it so much. So Vegas, it's enjoyable, bouncing rooms. Sometimes I look forward to the walk from one poker room to the next. Number 5, this part of the country is pretty good for other parts of the country being nearby. So I could drive to California. It's like a 4-hour drive, a lot of poker rooms out there. Last year I did that. Last year I also drove the 4 hours EDC weekend to Phoenix. There are 3 poker rooms in Phoenix. I was in 2 of them. I was in 2 of the 3. People love when I make the sign like 3 like this, so if I say 3, I'm gonna. I played 2 of the poker rooms out there, and the flights to when I did the Oakland trip for the A's game. Flights from Vegas to a lot of West Coast cities are very cheap. I think, what was the flight to Colorado? Like $40 each way. And I actually have a trip planned to Northern California in about 6 weeks. I think the flight was $30 each way. So it's a good part of the country. Other parts of the country, flights don't go to like places that are all that close for all that cheap that you want to go to, and there might not be poker all that close either. The Northeast, yeah, there's a lot of poker rooms. You saw when I played 7 states in one day. Link at the top of the screen if you missed that video. But other parts of the country aren't quite like Vegas. The Southwest is a part of the country that I enjoy. Number 6. One hand is holding the camera up, so I got to use one hand to go 6. Number 6 is that games are 24/7. So in Oklahoma, last time I was there playing WinStar, we were closing at 4 a.m. The 7 rooms in one day. Mohegan Sun closes at night. I think MGM Springfield closes at night. Not all those rooms were 24/7. So Vegas is, even if there are rooms that are not, Mandalay still is not, Westgate is not. It's kind of like their close is, you know, final table of the night whenever it breaks. I was there once where the floor just said, you know, you guys have a half hour left and then we're done. But even if there are still rooms that are not 24 hours, there are rooms that are. Like Bellagio doesn't close, Aria doesn't close, MGM doesn't close, Bally's doesn't close, Caesars doesn't close. I think Venetian still does. Haven't been there late in a long time, like almost 2 years, at the very end of the night when they were closing back then. But even if you're in a place that closes, like I remember early 2022, Bally's was closing at 3 a.m. All right, you played Bally's till 3 a.m., then you walked across the street and Bellagio and Caesars are still open. Like you could play 24/7. That's not a given anymore, especially after Corona, that you're going to be playing in the city that's 24/7. So I tried to play 10 hours a day in Oklahoma a few years ago, and it was tough closing at 4 a.m. There was a certain time I had to be playing my first hand by, otherwise it would be impossible to get a 10-hour day in because it was not 24/7. Vegas, as a city, games 24/7. And number 7, I just enjoy living on the Strip. Forget the rates, just like the atmosphere, the environment of living on the Strip. Even when I have days off, I much prefer, like every couple months or so, I take like 4 or 5 days off. If I'm gonna take 5 days off, I would much prefer to be in a hotel room in Harrah's than to have an entire house Airbnb to myself off the strip. I enjoy being on the strip. Even when I'm not playing poker, going downstairs, getting food, getting drinks, like driving off the strip to the supermarket, but coming back, and between parking in the garage and going back up to my room to cook jambalaya in my hotel room, which I do all the time, like walking through the casino floor, even if I'm gonna go an entire day without leaving my hotel room. I like the scenery. Sometimes you see the Sphere, sometimes you see the strip. I enjoy the atmosphere of being on the strip, and I've stayed in nice houses in Maryland, in the St. Louis area. I've stayed in nice, very nice rooms in Borgata, in Atlantic City. They're nice. The accommodations can be nice, but I like living actually like on this road, on the Las Vegas Strip, on Las Vegas Boulevard. So Vegas is the only place that has that. So there are 7 reasons why, even though Vegas has the tightest, most difficult poker games I've ever seen in my life, why I still choose to play Vegas. It's true, tightest, most difficult poker games there are, but every other factor that affects my life, Vegas beats all the other cities out there. And remember, rice is a spoon food.